Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1995 mockumentary Forgotten Silver.
I wasn't expecting much.
Hey, that's not fair. You haven't even given this review a chance yet. I'm reviewing every movie that has 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm giving them all a score of 1 to 10. After I watch them and score them all, I will rank them from worst to best. I started in the 1920 silent movie era, and I am now at 1995 with Forgotten Silver. This movie was written by, directed by, and stars Peter Jackson, along with a lot of other celebrities throughout this film. It's roughly about a gentleman named Colin McKenzie, who was supposed to be the greatest director of all time. Now, Peter Jackson, I believe it was his mom or a relative, had a next door neighbor who passed away, and after this neighbor passed away, they were giving away all of his stuff. And they asked Peter Jackson if he wanted to come look at these movie reels, these old movie reels that this person had been keeping. So when he went to look at the movie reels, he was shocked by the treasure trove of just fantastic movies that he found.
I had no way of realizing the significance of these films at the time. We later discovered they were made between the turn of the century and the late 1920s by an extraordinary New Zealander, a man who has now got to join the ranks of the great film pioneers.
And he said, this guy, Colin McKenzie, who made all these movies, he's going to be the next big thing. He's going to be huge. He's going to be a pioneer in the industry. They actually interview some guy who says, who compares these movies that they found to that of Citizen Kane.
Imagine if a film like Citizen Kane was to suddenly come out of the blue. Really, the discovery of this collection was that exciting and that intriguing.
There's a Harvey Weinstein jump scene in the movie where he just kind of, they interview Harvey Weinstein and hasn't aged very well. You don't want to see Harvey Weinstein in many things anymore.
This New Zealand filmmaker is going to rank, with the greats like D.W. Griffith. And I think in some ways infinitely better.
But they interview him and he kind of says the same thing, that this guy's going to be the next big director. Now apparently this guy named Colin McKenzie, he created the fast tracking shot by accident when he was on a bicycle. He also accidentally created the close-up, created sound in movies before The Jazz Singer, which was the first movie that was a talkie. Now what's funny about this, it's hilarious that anyone would ever believe that this is a real movie, but apparently they screened this movie to an audience under the guise that it was a real movie, and they didn't tell them until a couple days later that it was actually a mockumentary and it's not real. But to believe that this is real makes it even more funny, because when they're talking about Colin McKenzie creating sound, it's very funny sound that they're recording. I'll go ahead and play a clip of it here for you, but it's very funny sound that they're recording. And then the guy who they're interviewing, they says it was genius that he was able to capture this sound on microphone, on film. The only problem is that they were all talking in Chinese and he didn't have subtitles, and that was his fatal flaw.
And most of all, he had dialogue. He just forgot one thing. All of his subjects talking were Chinese. And while he'd figured out a way to record them, he didn't think of making subtitles. It was his fatal flaw.
I was laughing so hard during this scene. It is so funny. This movie is just hilarious. It's like comedy that you really have to catch. Like, it doesn't jump out at you. It's real subtle comedy, but my God, is it so funny. So eventually Colin McKenzie is going to create like his opus movie. He's going to create his greatest movie of all time, and it's going to be called Salome. Now it's going to be a biblical epic, and it's going to just revolutionize the way movies have been seen. Now, unfortunately, he ends up running into a lot of financial issues. He has to stop filming because of World War I. But he ends up getting the financial backing for this movie, and after he gets financial backing, he builds his own city in New Zealand. It's this grand epic fortress of a city. But the only problem is that when he gets backing from the Soviets, they tell him that he's not allowed to have any Bible references or any religious references in his biblical epic.
But the Soviets' cash had strings attached. Colin was forced to remove all religious references from his biblical epic. The Baptist became a socialist dissident. Herod became a fascist moneylender, while Salome became a prostitute who abandons her evil ways and learns the skills of collective bargaining.
So, of course, that's a huge problem. Because how can you have a biblical epic unless you're mentioning things from the Bible? Eventually, he falls in love with the girl that is the lead of this movie, and I believe she ends up passing away while this movie is being done. So he decides to hide all the copies of the movie, to never release it. And then Peter Jackson and his group end up going to New Zealand so that they could try to uncover this grand city that he built for this movie. This mockumentary is only a little over an hour long, so it just barely is longer than what a short would be considered, which is why I'm reviewing it for this channel. But my God, I haven't laughed this hard in a long time during the movie. It almost is like This Is Spinal Tap, I would say, in which there's just so many one-liners and so many subtle things in them. It's just hilarious. At one point, Colin McKenzie is filming, and he accidentally comes across a group of Native women who aren't wearing any tops, and he only gets a couple seconds of this action shot, and I think it's in color, and this is supposed to be the first time color is ever seen on film. So he takes this little piece of film that he has, and he goes to try to produce it, and he ends up getting arrested for it showing indecent things on film. And they say that it was an all-male jury who ended up convicting him of indecency, and they kept asking to see the film over and over again just to make sure that they were understanding what they were seeing, which is so funny. Throughout the entire hour of this movie, I would assume you're going to be laughing through the whole hour, because I was laughing. I thought it was just so funny and so hilarious. I guess at some point in this movie, Colin McKenzie also develops the first flying machine before the Wright brothers, which is also hilarious. And then just to think that an audience believed this, an audience thought that this was a real movie, is just mind-boggling, but it makes it so much funnier. This is really a breath of fresh air, because you don't get a lot of comedies that are 100% fresh. For this list that I've been doing, I think maybe the last comedy I did was Broadway Danny Rose, but I didn't think it was that funny. The last funny comedy that I did was The Sleeper, which was a while back ago. So it's nice to get a funny comedy, especially one that's just over an hour long, so it's not going to eat up a lot of my time. But the pacing is perfect. The story is just amazing, hilarious. The writing is hilarious. Peter Jackson really does a great job with this. I'd never heard of this before. I didn't know Peter Jackson did a mockumentary. When I saw his name on him, I'm like, oh, that must be a different Peter Jackson, because I don't remember him from stuff like that. But no, it's the same guy, and wow, he did such a great job. It is so funny. For Forgotten Silver, I give it a 9 out of 10. I hope you join me next time when I review a movie called Yana's Friends. Thank you. Have a great day.